we're gonna take a break from the therapeutic Thursdays. Yesterday was 1 year since this time last year I was in a coma. Um, I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. It's kind of surreal because I don't remember anything leading up to it, and so it's kind of hard for me to feel any kind of really way about it. I'm glad that I'm still here, but as far as like I didn't feel any pain or any of that stuff, so it's like whatever. Um, but it has been a whole 12 months because the day of the stroke was May the 6th, and that's when they found me. And then I was in the hospital from May the 7th until end of June. No, July 13th. That's when I left the hospital. What have I learned through all of this? I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I've done a lot of things that I didn't think I could do. And people always call it brave. I don't think I was brave. I am a very stubborn person. So if there's something that I want to accomplish or something that I want to do, I'm going to do it. Doesn't really matter to me. And if you tell me that I can't do something, that's the more I'm going to want to do it. And I know that's probably not the best way to be, but it's what helped me get through this. Because I kept on saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do whatever I have to do in order for me to do this. And so I just kept moving. So I guess if there's anything that I took from this is that you just have to keep moving. When everything seems like it's the darkest and like it's not going to get any better, just keep moving. You have your goal, you know what you want to do, so just keep moving towards that. And that's what I did. You know, when I woke up from the hospital, they couldn't tell me if I was going to walk again, if I was going to talk again. They didn't know. And they didn't want to lie to me, which made me very angry at first because it's like, I don't have nothing to work towards if they're not telling me anything. But then I was like, they don't have to tell me what I'm going to work towards. I will decide what I'm going to work towards. And so that's what I did. And I mean, like I said, they couldn't tell me because they didn't know how this was going to pan out. And they didn't want to be on the hook for saying something and then it didn't happen. I understand that. I get it. But did I understand it when I was going through it? Maybe not. Because I remember being very frustrated with everybody just telling me, oh, it's going to take time. How much time? I'm not a very patient person, so I need to know. I need a deadline. I need to know how long it's going to take. They couldn't tell me that. Not their fault. It's just the nature of you know, the disorder. Not a disorder. A nature of the act. It's just what it is. But I just kept telling myself that I couldn't see a life where I was going to be disabled. So I just kept moving. And that is what I will say to you when you're going through something and it seems like there is no end. There's always an end. We don't know what the end is going to be. You have to fight for what you want. And I wanted very much so to be able to walk and talk and do all the things that I need to do. I was very determined. And I just was not going to let this be the end of my life. This was a horrible way for it to end. So I just decided I'm going to get up every day and do what I can do. And I'll try to do a little bit more than I did the day before. And that's what I told myself. And I think that's what helped me get through. Because it wasn't easy, let me tell you. I had some moments. I had moments where I didn't want to be here anymore. And I didn't want to do this. And I felt like I'm doing all this stuff and I've done it all before. I don't want to have to do this. And as long as I felt that way, it was hard for me to move forward. When I accepted that this was just something that I was going to have to do, it made things a lot better. Up until that point, it had been very difficult. And so everybody looking up from the outside was like, oh, she's so strong. I didn't feel strong. I wasn't doing this to be an inspiration for anybody. If I inspire you, that's great. But this was purely for me to have the quality of life that I wanted to have. It was never for any kind of inspiration or accolades or whatever. It was because I knew the kind of life that I wanted to live. And I knew that it was not a life in a wheelchair. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. Not that there's anything wrong with that life, but that's not what I wanted for myself. And so I worked and I did what was asked of me, even when I didn't want to. Even now, I take low dose aspirin and cholesterol medicine every day. I would rather not take those. what is it to swallow some pills? So I do. Because it's not that big of a deal. And I would like for, if the circumstances are right again, for me to not have another stroke, because I don't want to do it again. I don't know how this would have turned out if my life was different and I had, other things in place. I have no idea. And that is not for me to worry about. I'm not going to worry about that. This happened. I had to address it and attack it the way that I knew how. And so I just kept moving. I didn't know where I was moving to because I didn't know how this was going to turn out. If you had told me a year ago that it was going to work out this way, I would have never believed you. Because I just could not see a future for myself. I see one now, but I couldn't see it in the beginning. When I first woke up and everything was at its worst, and I was in the wheelchair, and I just hated it. I wouldn't get out of going to any stores or anything because I didn't want people to see me. Because I felt like they were I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I didn't want anybody to be looking like, I just didn't want that. I like to have a sense of respect about everything. And I felt like I wasn't going to be able to have that in the wheelchair. It was very difficult for me. I've learned to be a lot more patient than I was. I was not patient at all. I had no patience. With this, I've had to be patient because they couldn't tell me anything, so I just had to wait and see. That was not fun, I'll tell you that. But now, I think my relationship with patience is a lot better than it was. My relationship with my friends are a lot better. They saved my life, like literally. If nobody had come and checked on me, who knows what would have happened. They came out, they checked on me, they did what would need to be done, and I could never thank them enough for that. My mom too. She moved into the house the day that it happened, and she just stayed. She made sure that I was okay. She did what she needed to do. And I can't say that a lot of mothers would have done that, but she did it. And I appreciate that. I appreciate all the well wishes and everybody that reached out. I appreciate all of it. Because that was a very, very dark time in my life. It was. But now I can see the future, and I'm working towards some things, and I feel like I had a purpose. Maybe that's what it was. I felt purposeless. I felt like I was just a lump sitting around. And that's when I decided I'm going to do something. And so what I started doing was what they were telling me to do, and even if I didn't understand it, because a lot of stuff I didn't understand. But I did it, and here we are now, a year later. A year. It's so crazy. It seems like it was a short time ago, but it also seems like it was a long time ago, if that makes sense. I tell people that, and they're like, what do you mean? I mean, a year is a long time in general terms, but like, I was asleep a year ago today. I was in a coma. That's crazy. A lot of people cannot say that, and I am very, very aware that I was one of the lucky ones. I know everybody's story doesn't turn out that way, and I'm very grateful for the way that it turned out. We could be having a whole different conversation and no conversation at all right now, and I'm very aware of that and very grateful for how everything has turned out. It's still a long road. There's still some things that I have to do, and I'm doing them. Am I where I want to be? No, I want to be exactly where I was. I can't go back there though, and I've had to just accept it. Moving forward, I'm going to talk like this. My life is going to be what it is, and I just have to accept that. Not a whole lot that I can do about it. Apparently, the part of my brain that got damaged is the part that controls your voice. So maybe that explains why I speak with an accent now. I don't know. But either way, I would say that things have turned out pretty well. In the big scheme of things, it could have been much worse. And that would have been really hard to deal with. I would have, but it would have been very, very hard to deal with. So I'm very grateful for the way that things have turned out. I'm very happy that they turned out this way. Now every May the 6th is going to be significant when it wasn't. I will actually have a summer this year. That's going to be great. I didn't get to have a summer last year. I was in a coma for the whole summer. What am I going to do? Probably nothing. To be honest, there's nothing that I want to do. But I'm able to do something if I wanted to. And that's what I'm grateful for, the ability to have choice and to be able to do things and not be told, oh, you can't, or have this thing in the way of me being able to do what I want to do. I can do whatever I want. And that is a really good feeling. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week.